Too Much Magic touched a bit on what is happening right now.
And there's yet another module of the story that I left out, which is what is the Democratic Party actually up to, and how has it changed? So the Democratic Party in the USA used to be the party of the working people, and we had a very large class of laborers, factory workers, people who worked with their hands, people who were in unions, and so on. And the Democratic Party represented their interests, through most of the 20th century. But when the working class dwindled, and there were fewer and fewer factories in America, and less industry, and fewer people working in industry, the Democratic Party was bereft of a purpose. And what developed after the 1980s is a party that has become mainly a racketeering operation, a criminal racketeering operation. And by that I mean making money, devoted to making money dishonestly. And what happened most recently in the last 15 to 20 years is that the Democratic Party constructed this matrix of non-governmental organizations that they use to flush money to the people who work for them. For instance, you have a large group of young people graduating from college every year, and we are in a situation that Peter Turchin, the economic philosopher, calls elite overproduction. The phrase ought to be self-explanatory. We are producing too many college graduates for not enough positions. So one of the solutions for that was for the Democratic Party to construct this network of non-governmental organizations to give jobs to all of these young people who are coming out of the university, who otherwise can't find jobs in the private sector. So you have all these people who are being well paid in NGOs, in USAID NGOs, and the medical NGOs, and this whole immense collection of them. And they're making enough money to live decently and afford apartments, and go out for drinks with their friends, but they're not really doing anything. A lot of these organizations just are devoted to fake work, either fake work or some sort of political organizing work, which is nothing more than marshalling votes for the next election. So you have a lot of these people are getting paid. It is what used to be called in America a patronage system, okay? And you have the same thing in other countries as well.
Oh, yeah.
But it's particularly deeply developed in the USA by the Democratic Party as a racketeering operation. It is a criminal enterprise. And they have been trying to conceal it. And this is apart from the fraud that is taking place. Well, it's not apart from it. It's a component of it, but it's not the fraud itself. The NGOs do assist with the fraud, which is simply misbilling.
Yeah, it's amazing, and we do see this in Europe, and this is very common in different ways in third world countries, by the way.
And to finally to conclude what the picture I'm trying to paint here. The Democratic Party has become a racketeering operation with no real philosophical or political programming. It no longer has that. Its only programming now is to survive, to keep its racketeering going, to keep the criminal enterprise going. That's all. They have no interest in the real issues that the world is confronting right now, for the competition for resources, the reorganization of urban life on the ground, the energy quandary that we find ourselves in, how labor is going to manage the introduction of artificial intelligence. The Democratic Party is not interested in managing any of these problems. They're simply interested in keeping their thing going. The Casa Nostra.
It seems a lot that we are, maybe with some delay from what we both wrote in our books, we are at the crucible, at the connecting phase, at the nexus, whatever the name is, of this trigger that is bringing an acceleration of the collapse, which was there but slow. Now it's accelerating.
Yeah, and that, that's a very interesting point you raised, because so far we have not really brought that.
Sorry. No, someone was calling. I had to put it on mute. Sorry.
Yeah, sure. So far we have not brought that element into the picture, but all of the whole collapse scenario is grinding away in the background of this political friction that's going on. So in the background you have the destruction of currencies and money. You have the misallocation of resources into private racketeering of various investment schemes. You have the resource problem, which is becoming especially acute in Europe. We have news over the last week that the Germans are expecting electric brownouts in the weeks ahead because their natural gas storage is so low.
And be careful with Germans, from brownouts they can go to brown shirts again.
Yeah, well, there you go. In fact, that's one of the things that I've been wondering about is when does the political distress in Germany get translated into real political action, not just talking and arguing and debate.
Oh, it will come sooner or later. Later would be, sooner is that, and later is when the fridges are empty. But for sure it will come.
Yeah. So the long emergency that I wrote about is grinding away in the background, and this is one of the great fears that I have about Mr. Trump's ability to carry out his counter-revolution against this against this actually small number of Bolsheviks, American Bolsheviks, who are now, or Jacobins, whatever you want to call them, who are now operating. I was reminded this morning by an essay that somebody sent me about what a small number of Bolsheviks it took to turn Russia upside down in 1917.
Oh yeah.
And the large Russian population just sort of sat on the sidelines watching this happen, while a couple of 100,000 Bolsheviks got control of the apparatus of all of the apparatus of power, and then they went about murdering their opponents.
Yes.
And I don't want that to happen with the Democratic Party in the United States. It looks like an even more criminal enterprise than the Bolsheviks looked like in 1917. You could say that the Bolsheviks of 1917 in Russia were sincere reformer revolutionaries. Now they might have had a murderous program, but they were probably sincere about changing the country and getting rid of the monarchy and all that.
I think it's correct to say that.
But in America, I don't think that they're sincere revolutionaries. I think they're simply a mafioso.
Yeah.
Political mafioso.
I don't know if they understand what you describe in the long emergency as a future that is more and more here, but certainly instinctively they are going from mafia and theft to pillage, which is really not the same thing. And we see it definitely in Europe, in Britain, in France. The ruling classes, including the oligarchs, are killing the golden goose and pillaging the country to go where, I don't know, because wherever they're going to go with the money and the resources they took, it will be taken from them from the place where in the places they go. They cannot go to China
Yeah, they're not going to hide in Davos.
No, we will take care of them if they come here, and if they go to Bahamas or a nice sunny place, well, the locals will take them. So this is delusional, but then delusional people do exist. So yeah.
Well, let me ask you. You know, you have this character in Europe who is an important authority figure, who is responsible for a great deal of damage done to the countries of Europe. Mm-hmm. That's Ursula von der Leyen.
Oh, I thought you meant the Pope. Okay.
Him I don't care about too much.
No, but it's the same. I mean, politician does a lot of damage.
But I'm curious to know, what do you suppose her motives are? Because it's very hard to even find a theory that fits Ursula von der Leyen's desire to destroy Europe.
You bring a very good example, because when the motivations of people who are childless homosexuals, and I have nothing against homosexual per se, but
well, you have to say that, right?
No, I have to say that because it's true. I mean, that is not the underlined word.
I have something against them. I do now. I have something against them at this point in history.
Okay.
And what I have against them is, it's simple. Marginal behavior belongs on the margins.
Okay, I agree with
that. And I'll leave it at that.
I agree with that. And actually, most homosexuals, I guess, would agree with that as well.
I think so too. I think they'd be happier on the margins.
Oh, yeah, and as they always been in history.
Yes.
Except in Muslim countries.
But anyway, I interrupted your thought.
Anyway, so I think that contrary to some people like Macron or Starmer or Scholz, who are, or even before Merkel, who are childless people who don't care about the future and have an incentive to pillage, and perhaps even a deep autodestructive tendency to the people they are presiding over through fake and corrupt election processes, by the way. This woman, von der Leyen, as we call her here, she has children. I think she has 5 kids. So she is and it's an interesting example. As someone who looks on paper, she should be a sane person thinking about the future, because obviously she has children and probably grandchildren now.
She looks in her photographs like the archetypal grandmother.
Yeah, German
with the
grandmother.
Little sweater and the little collar, and
But then maybe in her case, like with the case of the guy who used to run Davos, maybe the old German culture of supremacy and is there. And you just switch it. Instead of saying we, the people, the Volk, the German folk, are the superior race, now it's like we, the superior elites, the oligarchy, we are the superior ones, and we hate you, the folk, the unwashed masses, the hoi polloi. Maybe that's the answer. I don't know. It's just a theory that I'm just.
But it's hard to understand, isn't it? That's the key.
It's hard to understand because they're all a bullet away from death, and that bullet is there already somewhere in Germany or in Europe, and as you said, people are not yet to the point of hate, but they will be.
Or action. They're not to the point of action.
And hate and action. But certainly, you remember that poem from Kipling.
It was not part of their blood. It came to them very late, with long arrears to make good, when the English began to hate. They were not easily moved. They were icy, willing to wait, till every count should be proved, ere the English began to hate. Their voices were even and low. Their eyes were level and straight. There was neither sign nor show when the English began to hate. It was not preached to the crowd. It was not taught by the state. No man spoke it aloud when the English began to hate. It was not suddenly bred. It will not swiftly abate. Through the chill years ahead, when time shall count from the date that the English began to hate.